Rapsody is one of the best MCs alive today. You know, Rap isn't a dope female MC. She's a dope MC, period. And to be honest, she's better than 95% of the male rappers out there. The legendary Ninth Wonder's protege, Rapsody, has dropped her fourth studio album, Please Don't Cry, which she herself described by saying, "The last 4 years have been a beautiful, challenging, exciting, scary journey back to self." And this album is a reflection of that. You know, it almost feels like being in like one long therapy session. And Rapsody is the most honest, sincere, personal, and heartfelt that she's ever been musically. We know when it comes to the bars, Rapsody's up there with the best. But what was missing in the music side of things was a true connection to who she really is, you know? And Please Don't Cry really let us in. It shows us who she is as a person. The album starts with a skit with a character played by Felicia Rashad speaking to Rapsody. It kind of reminds me of the scene in The Matrix where Neo had to meet with the Oracle and she says, "I've been expecting you." That's the title track of the skit. It ends with Rapsody being asked, "Do you even know who you are?" You know, which is interesting because the Marlana, the first song on the album, is Rapsody's first name. And on that first record, you know, basically the intro to the album, Rapsody begins the journey of looking inward and finding out who she really is. And honestly, this might be her best intro. You know what I mean? Like, there's a few different beat changes, you know, and she sounds better than ever. Just flowing effortlessly, you know, the bars are sharp, pen game incredible. Rapsody's at her finest on this album. You know, and what I love most about it is, you know, lyrically she's sharp as ever, but she's actually being really vulnerable and honest in this. And I think this is what separates this album from the rest of her albums. On the intro track, she says, "Trying to find my way out without appeal. I use the N-word more than going inward. How does that feel? To be this naked, trying to find my way out the Matrix for real. Who am I?" You know, seems I might be right about the whole Matrix reference. You know, Rapsody's using the Matrix theme of the Oracle and finding true self to reveal your true power and your actual identity. It makes total sense with why she would use that as the intro skit for this album. There's different references towards the Matrix throughout the album. You know, one thing I notice about this album is I feel like this is the most like experimental and loose Rapsody has been vocally. You know what I mean? A knock towards her and the earlier side of her career was sometimes she could sound a little too monotone. But over time, she's definitely evolved and her flow's gotten better. Cadences, just being a little bit more animated in her vocals, you know. And I think this album is like really everything coming together and showing her true powers and her true gifts. And this is really Rapsody in Super Saiyan mode in her prime, to be honest with you. I think this is her, you know, you could really tell when an artist has reached that level of like mastering their skill set. And I think, you know, not just as an MC, but as a songwriter and a musician as well. And I think that this is where we're at right now with this album, Please Don't Cry. Some of the flows and vocal inflections she uses are very different from what we're used to hearing from her. You know, the raw emotion she uses in her voice on Loose Rocks, you know, she sounds like almost like she's about to go to tears, you know, be brought to tears. D&D with the melodic flow in the beginning, rapping like she's making love and close to climaxing on Lonely Woman. I love that she's playing with her voice, you know what I mean? And, you know, her pen was always sharp, but now that she's playing with her vocals, you know, playing with the flows, she's creating a more interesting sound, right? And that's where that to me is what's going to take her to the next level. You know, it's not about, for me, I don't really care for her to bring the hits and stuff like that, even though I will say like her hook writing on this album, the best I think it's ever been, you know what I mean? Like, these are actually like fully fleshed out songs, you know what I mean, with bridges, hooks, everything. Like, it's not just verse, hook, verse, you know what I mean? Like, this is a very musical album. Like, they took it far on this album. You could tell they put the time in on this album. On Stand Tall, she opens up again, inviting us in with her true thoughts as she reflects, "Judgment's on me. They wondering if I'ma eat the coochie fan. All because I choose to style in sneakers and some baggy pants. Used to make me Aggie, wanna black out like the Aggie fans. I suffer from anxiety, doctors probably tired of me. Trying to meditate to calm my heart, racing like an ambulance." This is one of the rawest verses from an honesty standpoint from Rapsody, you know, reflecting on the difficulties she faces from her sexuality being a topic of discussion in the industry. She continues on to say, navigating through this business, trying to find some decency, but you only wonder if I eat coochie or like some dick in me. Y'all need to read Dick Gregory, bitches. You know what I mean? Like, this is the first time really like she's going in depth on talking about these type of topics. You know what I mean? Like, for me personally, you know, her sexual preference doesn't matter to me, but you know, this is her art, and if that's something that she feels she wants to explore, then I'm all here for it. You know what I mean? She's had plenty of songs about like relationships and love, but like now she's really like peeling back the layers and showing a vulnerable side of herself that we haven't heard before. And it's a topic she expounds on that one time when she reflects on a relationship that changed her outlook. I never felt socially accepted or wanted physically. Got me changing, experimenting. I fell in love with her. Now I'm smiling different, and my hurt turned out. Or maybe I'm still triggered. Never felt wanted or pretty by no. Yeah, shit, it only took one time, and one more, 2, 3 times, and for long, we in relationship. My thoughts debating with who I am, who I'm living for. My parents, pastors, my demon, my fears, my nieces, my nephew, my fans, clinging to society, who always label me but can't define me quite entirely. Entirely, I'm overcome with it all. Opened my vault, found value in my truth and my flaws. It only took one time for me to question it all. I had to read that whole part out because, like, to me, that shit is like poetry. You know, one of my favorite verses of the year, just off of the fact that it's so honest and powerful and real, right? Like, you know, sincerity to me, sometimes that'll go further than being super lyrical miracle. You know what I mean? Something that's relatable, something that's real, something that touches the spirit, something that touches the heart. You know what I mean? And that's something that, you know, a lot of rappers, like the real bar heavy rappers, they don't really tap into that. You know what I mean? I think that's why Tupac, for example, was and is so highly regarded, because, you know, from a technical standpoint, Pac is not really the illest rapper, like the nicest rapper from a technical standpoint, but from a sincerity and honesty and vulnerability and real standpoint, Tupac is up there with the best. You know what I mean? That's why we love him. His songs just connect. They just connect to you in a real way. And I think that's some of what Rapsody is doing here on this album. You know what I'm really bringing us in and making us feel close to her as if like we're her friend. You know, and I think what's dope about this album as well is it isn't all slow songs and it's not a boring album. The variety of production is A1. Definitely her most well-rounded album from a production standpoint. I'm so glad she used different styles of production. You know, we aren't used to hearing Rapsody over 808s and trap style drums, but it sounds dope as hell. And you know, it makes a more accessible listen when you have variety. You know, don't get me wrong, I love hearing her over Ninth Wonder, but you know, sometimes you want a little bit of variety in the production, and I think this is her best produced album from a variety standpoint. Back in My Bag is an absolute banger. You know, raw is crazy. I feel like I can just let this album run in any situation. You know, it could be background music. I could play this at the gym. I could play this playing ball. Her last album was phenomenal, but I can't say that it was as accessible as this one. I feel like this is a more well-rounded album. You know, wordplay all over this album is ridiculous too. Like, don't get it twisted, just because this is a really like deep album in terms of like finding inner self, it's still bar heavy, and there's still lyricism for days, and there's still metaphors and punchlines for days. Man, this might be like the most actually punchline heavy, like metaphor heavy that I've heard from Rapsody, to be honest. Like, you know, she's always been cold in that department, but again, something seems different with this album in terms of the writing. Like, I don't know if maybe it's the amount of time that she took, but I just feel like this is really her sharpest, most well-rounded showcase of lyricism even as well. Like, you know what I mean? Everything is so potent. On the shorter records, it's like it could only be 2 minutes long, but it still feels like it was like a 6-minute record because everything is so potent. You know what I mean? It's not so much about the quantity and the amount of verses and the amount of bars. Sometimes you could get that message across, or you can just go crazy off of 116 or even 8 bars. You know, you could tell, you know, she took her time and she poured her heart and soul into this. Like, this was a meaningful project for her. I'll say the only criticism I really have is the arrangement in the middle of the album. I feel like some of the songs in the middle kind of had the same kind of feel and were kind of clustered together, and I feel like it dragged a little bit in the middle of the album. From a sonic movement standpoint, you know, I feel like the more up-tempo records could have been maybe staggered a little bit more, just to have the flow a little bit better. But it's only really in the middle part. Like the beginning of the album goes so crazy, like the first 6 records, I want to say, and then there's some good shit in the middle there, and then the ending just tops it off perfectly. So it's just, that's my only gripe with the album, is just a little bit of the flow towards the middle of it felt a little bit stagnant. You know, Raw is one of my favorite tracks on the album. You know, Rapsody and Wayne going crazy, putting on a lyrical showcase. The only thing is I wish Lil Wayne's vocals, either the way it was recorded or the way they mixed it or put effects on it, I just wish it was a little different. His verse was fire. The track is fire. It's just, I feel like his vocals, they stood out in a weird way. Like it didn't flow perfectly. You know what I mean? Like, I just wish his verse was as clean as Rapsody's vocals. Another Matrix reference on Raw, though, if you caught that, there's gotta be more for us. Morpheus on the phone. He told me to keep it raw. Bullets inside my palm. I'm holding them knowing that I'm the light, just like Islam. You know, I love the Matrix references throughout. And again, wordplay crazy. You see for yourself. To be honest, man, we gotta start having a conversation of Rapsody's up there. Rapsody's up there for me. Like, quality albums, pen game ridiculous, actually has something to say. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. This is up there. This is one of the best albums of the year so far for me, 100%. And you know, listen, man, like, when an artist allows us in like this and they're vulnerable with us, you know, they expose their heart, their flaws and everything, you know, we really have to take the time to appreciate that. We have to, like, fuck the album sales, fuck the politics, fuck the hype. You know, this is art. Like, this is real art from the heart. We should all be grateful, and it should be highlighted and celebrated when an artist like Rapsody decides to take it here. You know what I mean? And give us a peek inside their diary, because that's not easy. You know, sharing your truth with the world, and you know, she did that all while rapping at a high level. You know what I mean? And that's a brave thing to do. Not a lot of artists do that. A lot of artists, they find a wave and they stay in that lane, and you know, it makes them money, and they just stay that way. And Rapsody really took a risk here in not only altering her sound to a certain degree, but also opening up to us and talking about different topics that are super personal for her. And you know, I am gonna say this is the best album of the year so far from a lyrical standpoint. You know, you want to talk metaphors, rhyming multiple syllables, remove all the deep shit aside. I'm talking about just lyrically, this is the best album of the year for me. Rapsody's nice, man. Rapsody's nice. People gotta stop sleeping. And again, man, we gotta show love to Rapsody for really opening up on this album and giving us a real piece of art. You know what I mean? And hey, thank you, Rapsody. I'm inspired.